character and all you have are very pretty pictures, do you really think they're going to take the time to sit there and try and see if you can play that drug addict? Or they're just going to move on, and those people who do have those pictures that fit the drug addict perspectives, automatically their mind goes, yeah, I can see them. Yeah, I can see them. On top of that is, you know, your reel is proof of the work that you can do. So if you don't have a reel on your Actors Access, there is nothing that's really proving to them or providing them seeing, hey, I can play these parts. So without a reel, they're literally kind of just guessing if you can. And one of the things that we've been told from the casting directors that we've invited over is sometimes they don't want to take that chance. Production, they invest a lot of money. So the thing is, they have to know that the person they're hiring is going to come in and be able to do the job and do it on time and accordingly. If you can't show that to them, there's nothing that they're going for, and this is an investment. From a business perspective, it's an investment. And if, let's say, they hire you and you end up not being able to do the job, now they look bad. And they have to explain that to production. So if you guys don't have reels because you guys haven't gotten on, you know, anything major, anything like that, start small. One of the things I remember that Lora suggested to me when I first signed up, because I had nothing. And I was getting frustrated because like, I want more auditions. And she's like, well, you know, grab whatever work that you have done, something small, and that way we can at least pitch you to the reenactment shows. I kid you not, from the moment I did that, I think I've done now 3 reenactment shows. That now I actually get to have real footage that's better quality that I get to put in. So then now when, let's say, a Fox production or an HBO production or something, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see her, you know, doing that, rather than I don't have anything, I can't show anything. So I don't know if that. Yes.
So we're newbies. I got tons of questions about Actors Access, so I'll keep it really limited. But so I'll just ask like a 2-part question. One, like, we're getting matches sent to us, but I don't. Who uses Actors Access, and is it proactive or is it reactive? And to go back to the pictures, can you put your comp card up there as one picture that would show 5 looks in one image, or is that a no-no?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as far as Actors Access, yes, it's hugely used. If you're going to be on anything big like Stranger Things, Marvel movies, anything, it's going to come from Actors Access. So, you know, I'm sure probably even Tom Cruise has an Actors Access page. I mean,
But nobody knows, right? Because they're all hidden.
Right. And so there's certain projects that are only listed to the agent. So what you guys see on your side is only like a small percentage versus what we see on our side. So that's why it's connected, that, you know, once you get an agent, you actually put in your agent's name, and then they are able to see your profile. And so that profile is submitted over. And it is very important. Have multiple headshots, different looks is very important. Have clips of all your work up there. As you grow, if you're just brand new, you have to start building that foundation. It may take time, but keep, you know, building on. And just like she said, you know, she started out with very little, but now she has all this footage that's only going to launch her to bigger, better projects. So it's just a process. It's not going to happen overnight.
So quick follow-up question, if you don't mind. Are there any other sites like Actors Access that we need to be on?
I say casting. Yeah, casting network is the one that I would say follows right after Actors Access. I don't know if you guys know this, but Fox, there was an issue with Fox and Actors Access, so now any Fox shows actually cast from casting networks. So casting networks, I believe, also now provides you with 2 free pictures. So I suggest, a lot of the times it was mostly used for commercial, but now there are actual TV and films that come in, so I suggest having a theatrical picture there as well. And if I'm not mistaken, they actually allow you to put your first reel up for free. And I believe with casting networks, it is a pain. I am very honest about it. It is a pain to kind of navigate. A lot of the times if you're switching agencies, you have to actually contact them, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, and then they're the ones that switch your agency over. It is a pain to use, but again, it's the next one, and there's a lot. There's Heaven that's on there, there's Stars that's on there, The Resident is cast from casting networks. So you're missing out on these opportunities if you don't have casting networks up to date as well as your Actors Access. Yes, ma'am.
It may sound like a silly question, but since they get specific about what hair color, what if you had pictures with different hair colors? Can you do that, or is that a no-no?
I would say it's open as long as you're open to changing like at the moment's notice. So like if they're looking
If
for
you got a wig, that's a
right,
good
if
wig.
you
have
can,
someone do
we
that,
have
yeah.
people like that. So we do have it. You know, they're open to it. You know, sometimes they'll get the audition submission, you know, notice, and they'll email me like, hey, what color hair did you submit over, and I'll let them know. So
Oh, okay.
it is a possibility.
All right.
And production sometimes does ask, which that's what happened
Right.
with one of our talent. They were like, hey, can she get this hair color? Does she still have this hair color? She went to a wig store and literally
Right.
took a picture with it, and we were able to send it to production, and she booked it. So it is a good idea, and they really do look at that. So
Right.
Just because I'm new to the state, I know like in Texas, the big ones were the Actors Access and the casting networks. So I do have those. Are there any other that is also maybe preferred to have as well?
Okay, so the list that
I'm
I
just gonna open the windows so it doesn't get too hot in here.
The list that I give my actors is now casting. I know you guys may not hear about that much, but there is now casting. There's 800 casting. We do use 800 casting. There is one casting director that still pulls people from 800 casting. You'll see a lot of local projects on there. So yes, we require that. And then Talent Soup, because there's a lot of print jobs on there. So.
Talent Soup?
Mm-hmm. And I think that's about it.
That's
on
about
my
it,
list. And then now Cast It, because Cast It, if you have a casting networks and you get an audition, you have to upload your file through Cast It. So everyone's required now to have Cast It.
What's that one?
Casted is associated with casting network. So if you get a casting network, you have to get a casted because that's how you submit the auditions.
Is that something new that they just started? 'Cause
It
I-
happened with the whole Fox thing.
Yeah.
Okay, just I've been on it for a couple of years now, so I don't remember having to sign up for that, so I was just making sure I'm up to date with everything.
I kind of wanted to, if y'all don't mind, leave the questions and answers for the end, because you might learn a lot and then have more questions. I just wanted to make sure it was slightly structured, because we do have a few performances also. And y'all let me know if it gets too cold now that we have the window open, so. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal
go
anything or
ahead.
you got going there, but I wanted to make sure you were able to get out some of the things y'all had planned.
I think one of the biggest things, because I know that your concern was, which is the main thing that a lot of people ask, is the difference between Atlanta and LA and the reputation Atlanta actors have versus the LA actors. And I know Laura can probably say a lot about the LA actors. I can only say so much about the Atlanta actors. What I have noticed from the people, because we do have a few talent signed that have come and moved from LA, and we also have a few talent that are up in New York. The work ethic is completely different. We literally had, I believe, when she moved from LA, we were having a workshop with Brian Beagle. She hopped on a plane from LA to Atlanta just to make that workshop. And I remember when Laura and I were talking to her, and Laura was like, hey, you know, in case he were to, you know, want to bring you in for an audition, she was like, are you going to be able to make it? And her response was like, if I have to sell my left toe to make it to Atlanta, I will. But that's the mentality. So it surprised me a lot because, you know, my husband and I, when we started, we were like, okay, we're going to be, you know, as committed as possible. And if anything, I admire his commitment to it. And which, just to give you an example, so how he kind of was brought up and everything was Mark Buchanan, which is the casting director for The Resident, literally called Laura and was like, can he make it down to the office in 1 hour? He was at work and it was literally going to take him an hour to be where he was to get to the office. And without thinking, without a doubt, he's like, I'll be there. He made it, he did the audition, and it impressed them so much that it gave an opportunity of someone who was out of the state. They were like, hey, it's okay, we'll extend it, could she make it tomorrow? Just out of one person being willing to drop what they were doing to go. And a lot of the things that happened was because here in Atlanta, the industry is still so new. Back in LA, everyone knows that if you're there, you're more likely an actor, and more likely you're gonna quit your job on the spot just to make it to an audition, because that's how thick the competition is. And if you get an audition, it is especially if that is your main focus, it is life. So here, I've noticed that people aren't like that. I get so surprised. I mean, we self-tape here. And I get so annoyed, again, from the actor's perspective, because, again, it's thousands of people that are being submitted to these casting directors. And if you get chosen, you got chosen out of thousands of people. And there will still be people who will miss auditions, although, again, the turnaround is, the shortest I've seen is maybe like a 24-hour turnaround. You know, and again, they're looking for you to be able to do that audition. Now, yes, make it as good a quality as you can. With an iPhone nowadays technology, there's really no excuse why you can't give a decent quality of an audition. But people will miss their auditions. We've had people miss their bookings, their actual bookings. And it's leaving a reputation that Atlanta actors aren't really reliable. And what that's causing, and how casting directors see it, and which was told to us by Tara, who is one of the casting directors for Stranger Things, if I'm not mistaken, here in Atlanta. She goes, production thinks about it this way. Would they rather rely on an actor here in Georgia, who they may or may not take it as serious, or would they rather invest the money in bringing someone in from LA? And they rather invest the money bringing in from someone from LA because of the reputation that kind of Atlanta people are leaving. So it is a business. You know, a lot of the times people, if you're getting kind of frustrated as to, well, I'm not getting enough auditions, or I don't know what I'm doing, and a lot of the times it is looked at the agent, and I've seen countless of emails where people want to point the finger at Lora. And let me just brag on her for a second. Laura is someone that it's 2, 3 in the morning, and I'm getting emails from her, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, go to sleep. But that's who she is. That's how hard she works. But the thing is, it's not always a two-way street, and it doesn't always rely on your agent. Your agent can really only do so much. So a lot of the times, if you're not getting your auditions, take a look and let's, be honest with yourself. When was the last time you kind of switched over your headshots, given some of a fresh look for casting directors to see? Do you have variety in those headshots? Do you have the cute girl, the masculine man, the drug addict, the nurse, the different looks, the different characters? How much have you invested into your own acting career? Do you network? How is your social media? Are you trying to find out where actors or where people in Atlanta kind of hang out? And these are all the things that in Atlanta I see that we don't necessarily do, but in LA and New York, that's what people consistently are doing. Networking, keeping up with their stuff, dropping everything that they can for an audition. I know for some of us that's hard. We have families, we have to make a living, we have to make an income, but that's kind of the difference. To hear acting and everything is a hobby, it's something I want to try out, it's an option. Back in LA, and I remember countless of stories when you were telling me that you were doing acting with the kids in the
Yeah,
car.
I have triplets, so like if you call me up and tell me, oh, I can't get childcare, it's not gonna fly. So I had 3 babies and I still make my auditions. So if I can do it with 3, you guys can do it with find grandma or whatever. Bring a friend. I'll grab like a friend and say, hey, sit in the car, I'll buy you Starbucks. I gotta run in and go do my audition and run back out. And she was like, all right, where's Starbucks? And then I drop her off at home. You can make it work. If you want to do it, you make it work. As far as a full-time job, if you call me up, you can't accept do an audition, or you can't do a booking because of a full-time job. You will be dropped. There's no question about it. This is what I do. This is what production does. This is what casting does. This is our full-time job. There's beside, I tell people it goes God, family, and it goes this industry. And this is what I invest in. I don't care if you can't get your shift covered at McDonald's. It doesn't matter. I want you to take your booking. So.
Sick. So, any questions off that, or Kelly? I don't know if you have.
Well, one of the things that just consistently I hear, I got my film and video production degree from Georgia State, and that was in 2011, and even then they were talking about the Georgia industry, and that it's like not really up to par. It should be, because we have people in New York and LA are coming here in droves because they know that they have opportunity here. So it's just, I personally have a mission, and I did back in 2011, to make Georgia actors relevant and be sought out. and that they're not pulling in people from LA. Even on the production side of things, they pull in anyone from a PA, production assistant and above, they import them. So, you know, Georgia just hasn't quite got on track yet with the level of what we need to be. So up here at Atlanta Hollywood Acting Studios, we're trying to make sure that we really press that, because we want to be known as the production of amazing talent that they can count on to be professional and ready to go. Because I don't know about, what do you think about is coming down the pike for Georgia film right now? I mean,
It's only growing. I mean, there's no doubt about that. You know, it's going to keep growing. Everybody needs to be ready. I mean, here's the thing. Casting will pull actors from Atlanta. So I know there's like this kind of this, I guess, this thing where people talk and they're like, oh, they only pull the leads for, you know, from LA. They don't pull the leads from Atlanta. Well, the opportunities are there. I see them, they come across my desk, you know, and I'm like, oh, I can submit my actors, but most of the actors are not ready yet for those roles. And I know everybody's like, oh, but I'm a leading man, you know, I have all this experience, but you're not going to be able to compete with someone who has major credits. You know, so the one thing is knowing that this is a process and you're building a foundation. And, you know, if you're not willing to start at the bottom and kind of work your way up, it's not going to happen. So, you know, it's okay to go do the independent films. It's okay to do the crime reenactments, even though how cheesy some of them are. You're like, oh, everybody's doing those crime reenactments. And I actually will not sign you if you're against them because of, like, building your resume. You know, I do have a few people who are against doing crime reenactments due to, like, they kind of, the moral beliefs in it and certain things. They're like, well, I don't like to do crime reenactments because it's like entertainment of somebody's, you know, people are getting entertainment from a crime. So they have that viewpoint. I respect that. But, you know, like, you have to build your resume. And there is nothing easier than those crime reenactments. So if you come in and you talk to me, you're like, no, I refuse to do the crime reenactments. I'm like, well, where are you going to get your experience from? Now, if you already have major day player roles, guest starring roles, you're a cast member, and you don't want to do crime reenactments, that's cool, you know, because you're already to the point where you can say no. But kind of look at your resume. Can you say no to certain things, you know? And you have to be willing to build your resume. And that may mean low budget, free stuff in the beginning. But when you get to the point where you're like, hey, I'm already booking these day player roles, I'm already, you know, being in consideration for cast members, then you can have a say about what you can and can't do. So.
Just to piggyback off that, you guys just have to think about it really is a business. So it's your business. Like, we are literally, I know this sounds horrible, but we are literally like pitching you guys, as we are selling you guys to the casting directors. As to what we're selling, that falls on you. As to what we can market, that falls on you. That is all your responsibility. You know, the job for us is making sure that we're getting you to as many platforms, as many faces as we can. But what we're showing is limited to only what you guys give us that we can show. And you kind of only limit yourselves, like Laura was saying. And I get so frustrated when sometimes, you know, someone will email us and be like, well, the pay's too low. And I take a look at the resume, I take a look at the reel, and it's like, what do you mean the pay's too low? Like, you don't have, like, unless, like Laura was saying, unless you're really someone that you have these credits and you're, you know, frequently sought out, you don't really, not that the freedom or anything, I'm trying to find the right word, but, you know, it's something where it's like you have to be humble enough because you're not in a position to make the request of certain things that you want. So until you get to that point, it's being humble enough to the small beginnings. And the thing is, even with the reenactment shows, which I found this out when I was on one of them, it is a great place to network. And a lot of the things, it's all these low, you know, budgets or however you want to see them, projects that you're like, which is horrible because a lot of times people are like, oh, these Atlanta projects. Yeah, then maybe they're not the best quality. Yeah, you know that the people there, you know, it's just something they're trying to put together. But the thing is, you never know who you might meet or the connection you might make or where they're at in the industry and what that can land you later on. These are all how my husband and I see it. These are all little seeds that you kind of have to plant. These are all things that you kind of have to water. And like Laura has been saying, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a process. But the thing is, you have to be willing to invest and you have to be willing to kind of do that. When I went on the reenactment show, I didn't know a lot of them work on indie projects that they later on go and submit to festivals that they are literally consistently working. So it was cool because I went in and I didn't see, and the thing that happens too is you go and you're like, oh, well, you know, this is a joke, so I'm not really gonna do my 100%. And if you don't, that's kind of the impression you live on them. So the thing is, it's like if they do later on do projects, you're more than likely not going to be someone they're going to be like, oh yeah, I remember when she was on my reenactment show that I directed. She was great. I'm going to try and pull her and see. So it's something where it's like you have to give your 100% even if you don't feel like it. Because the thing is, you guys know, if you went to work and you guys only did half the job all the time, would you probably keep that work or would someone fire you? So it's that thing where it's like a lot of the times we see, or I've seen, that that's what people want to do with their agent. They only want to give them half the work. So why should your agent keep you? Or why should you, are you earning those auditions? Are you really working towards having those credits? Are you really taking this as serious as you say that you want to be?
I agree.